Okay, looks like that's working.
Hi, everybody.
Yes. All right. Hello, anyone who's randomly stumbling upon this in the 5 seconds that we've been live. That's actually quite impressive.
It's needle in a haystack mode there.
We are doing these live now, so I don't forget to upload them. Primarily, is the reason.
It's our new format.
Also, let's up this bit rate to like. What's YouTube top out at? 10 megabits per second.
I want to surf that Wi-Fi.
There we go.
Like my feet are made of Bitcoin.
We've rezzed up, everyone. Hello, hallelujah, praise the Lord. We're coming at you with Takeover Stand Deliver Night 1 and 2 review. After a long hiatus, we disappeared after SummerSlam, much like Brock Lesnar, and now we're back to get our WrestleMania payday.
We are Universal Champions after all. Things have changed. Things have changed a little bit.
Things have
since
changed
I was away.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Who are all these new people in the ring? This Pete Dunne guy.
Yeah, who the fuck's that guy? I've never seen him before. I've never seen him live twice.
Oh, that's true. Twice. But not Kushida. We haven't seen Kushida live, I don't think.
No, we haven't. So yeah, we'll start with night 1 here. Apparently there's a pre-show match. Zoe Stark beat Toni Storm, which is interesting because Toni Storm just wrestled for the title, so I guess they got big plans for Zoe Stark.
I guess, even though she doesn't even have a wiki page.
Yeah. And then in the opening of the show on USA/Peacock, we had Pete Dunne versus Kushida in a match where I guess the story was who's the best technical wrestler in the world, which I don't like when they put the qualifiers on these things. Like, wouldn't the champion logically be the best?
Yeah. Although now they all have intangibles when it shows their card pop up, and it just sounds like their Pokemon powers.
Yeah, I especially love Walter's intangible, unbeatable. It's like, well, there we go. Why even have the match? It says it right there. He's unbeatable. Spoil the outcome. This match was fine. It went less time than I thought it would. I was curious to see, since this night 1 was simulcast on Peacock and USA, I was curious to see if they would go past the top of the hour. And they did a little bit. Like 5 minutes. They gave them a 5-minute overrun.
Little smidge. Yeah.
But you can see, just as we go through, we'll give you match times, how much longer the matches went outside of the USA restriction.
Yeah, it's quite a stark difference.
So this went about 10:39, and it was a good 10:39. They exchanged holds. There was a lot of chain wrestling, obviously, because they were trying to determine who was the best technical wrestler. There nothing like particularly memorable. Like the only like spot I remember with any sort of clarity was the X-Plex on the apron, and that was pretty early in the match.
Yeah.
And it really didn't lead into the finish at all, which I
don't even remember what the finich was. I feel just it felt to me like it was their normal stuff. They weren't
it
wasn't elevated at all.
It's an okay match. It's a little weak for a Takeover, but it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
and that led into the longest match of the night by quite a bit, actually, and that's the 6-man gauntlet eliminator match featuring Isaiah Swerve Scott, Cameron Grimes, LA Knight, Dexter Lumis, Leon Ruff, and the eventual winner, Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed stole this show in the worst way, I feel like. He drew my attention for being not all there. After he won, I was like, oh, okay. Maybe he was just thinking about the tomorrow's match or something like that. He didn't have his head in the moment. That would be proven wrong when he got to tomorrow's match. But I was hopeful.
Johnny's back must be hurting him today.
I don't know if it was in this one.
Job.
No, it wasn't. It was in that one. We'll talk about that in a second. But he did a Nia Jax, and I'm like, can't do that to Johnny.
Yeah, Bronson Reed. I know he's got a lot of people who are really behind him right now and think he's doing great. To me, I don't really see it. To me, it comes across as I want to be Jeff Cobb real bad, but I'm not as good as Jeff Cobb, which is not hardly an insult because Jeff Cobb is extremely good at what he does. But at the same time, it is noticeable how much lower he was in work rate compared to pretty much everyone else in this match, especially when it came down to him and Swerve.
Yeah,
the
Isaiah Swerve Scott is no slouch.
Stark. He's really good, and he had me pulling for him by the end of this. I was like, yeah, let's go, Swerve.
Get it. Yeah, it was those donkey kicks, right?
Yeah, he had, I forget what he calls it, but he has, his finish is this, like, running low enziguri sort of dealia bob. And he hit 3 of them in a row on Bronson Reed.
And they struck like gunshots.
And, the sound was fucking sickening. I guess they're past the don't slap your thigh anymore rule, because I don't know how... I don't want to imagine how else that sound gets made.
Yeah. And then Bronson Reed, whose his signature move apparently for this match is just the Mario ground pound. He just does a straddled gluteus drop.
Yeah, he does a bonsai drop.
Yeah.
Standing, though. He doesn't even bother to go up to the second rope like Yokozuna did.
It's a surprisingly static move. It's almost innovative in that he just stands still, drop. It's like a Little John video. But this guy no sells the finish.
He kicks out at 2. Which is, I get that it's a takeover. You should expect people to kick out of finishes. I don't necessarily have a problem with kicking out of finishes, but there's no more grisly way to murder someone's move by having a guy kick out at 2 seconds after getting hit with 3 of them in a row. And it wasn't like he just got the shoulder up. He like muscled up and put him in another move. And it was like, come on, dude. Like, he was working his ass off in this match. He came in a lot. He started this match. You came in like 3 guys in. You had like 4 spots the entire match. None of them looked very impressive. You don't need to kill the guy's move like that. Sell it a little bit. Like, be foggy, stumble around a little bit. Let people know that it was an effectual move and not just, hi, he pretended to kick me in the head 3 times and now I'm going to do my shit.
Yeah, just the more I think about it, the more it...
Yeah, the match itself was really good right up until the last couple minutes. I wasn't overly impressed with Bronson Reed. I, like Peter, wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because I had seen him have some okay matches on television back when we were watching week to week. It was never really anything impressive, and I figured, in the few months we haven't been watching as closely, he may have developed a little bit.
Here's hoping.
But it didn't really look like that. But I was like, oh, maybe it's just the multi-man format. That's not something that a big guy really necessarily can shine in, although it can be done pretty easily. You just give him a lot of power spots and let him rest on the outside. But they didn't they didn't choose to do that. So I was like, okay, maybe Johnny will have a good match and he'll be fine too. And Johnny did have a good match, but that was a hard carry job.
That was truly Johnny Takeover's magic working.
He's got the magic.
I guess shout outs to Leon Ruff for getting punished in this one.
Leon Ruff was like a crash test dummy in this match. Man got thrown around like a cat in a Wes Anderson movie.
This man is running on the Euphoria engine. This was the first surprise of the night was when Cameron Grimes came out, and apparently he picked up the money gimmick.
He was the
now.
GameStop. He bought the GameStop stock. That's been his new gimmick for a while, and now he's the bad $1 million man. He's like doing a parody of Ted DiBiase's gimmick, where he has all the money, but he's really fucking dumb and doesn't know how to like manipulate people the way that Ted DiBiase did.
Yeah,
it's actually been pretty great from what I understand.
That was funny where he just pulls out a jockstrap. Here, money.
He puts it in his, and I'm like, that's how you get crabs, guys. But yeah, it was great. Cameron Grimes, he's the guy who's really won me over. I wasn't particularly thrilled with him in the beginning, but he's gotten his character work down, and he's got a hook now. He was always fine in the ring. He just didn't.
Yeah, early on, I was like, this is some weird.
Don't really see it.
Yeah,
but he's there now.
Yeah.
That led to what I thought was going to be the match of the weekend, but I think I liked the main event of night 2 a little bit better. But I had
kind of a surprise favorite snuck in on night 2 too, but for night 1, this for sure.
But Walter versus Tommaso Ciampa was everything I wanted it to be. I was texting Peter and like, Bronson Reed should be jailed for murdering Isaiah's finish. And then promo package for this aired. I'm like, speaking of murder,
I
had no idea how apropos that would be.
For real, this is the tale of the hand. This man's Walter's right hand told a better story than many books I've read.
Yeah, I was telling this to Diane when I showed her this match last night. I was like, I love Walter so much because he takes everything that works from old school wrestling, the 70s and the 80s, the psychology of it. That shit works. You should use it still because it still works. Yeah. And then he combines a little bit more of modern wrestling philosophy in terms of like finishing sequences and stuff. But he doesn't go overboard with it. It's not, a Young Bucks match where they take 6 finishes, kick out, and then immediately go to hit their move.
Yeah. Yeah. What the fuck is I'm trying to think, what's that tag team who is like, not the Vaudevillains, but who's the other guys who are like classic style? They're like classic wrestling.
Oh, the Revival?
Yeah, the Revival.
FTR is there now. Yeah.
Yeah. So the tale that we were, of course, talking about is Walter misses one of his atomic slaps at the beginning of the
Walter fucking chops a table in half with this grizzly bear paw that he has hanging from his shoulder.
Yeah. And he goes so hard, like he missed the high jump kick and he took the critical damage.
And Ciampa
And
works this over the entire match. And it tells a great story because they're like, Walter's fucking shots will kill you.
yeah,
But he's right-handed.
what? It's the Tony Stark, like, take away the suit. What are you?
Yeah.
Playboy.
So he has to chop Ciampa with his left hand, which, while still devastating, not nearly the game ender that the right hand is. And they work it that way the entire fucking match. And most of Walter's offense is chops and kicks and power bombs and the occasional suplex. And Ciampa's, he's working his ass off. He's throwing everything at him. He even gets him up. He gets him up for an air raid crash, which I was like, holy fucking shit. Walter's not a small man.
Ciampa has big muscles, though.
And he fucking gets him up for the fairy tale ending, which kudos to Walter. I did not know he could jump like that.
Man is spry.
But Walter keeps coming. He can't put him away. And how does the match end? Walter throws caution to the fucking wind and chops him with his right hand. He fucking, his hand just disintegrates on impact. It's hanging there. It's looking like Eric Andre's hand in Bad Trip after he pulled it out of the blender.
Oh, blender, yeah.
And he fucking covers Ciampa for the 3. He won with a fucking chop. And it was the most beautiful finish I've ever seen. Story matters in wrestling. And like I got so pissed. I hate Squared Circle now. It's just so bad.
Oh, were they shitting on this?
There was a loud contingent of, they weren't shitting on this, but there was a one Karrion Kross one on night 2. There was a loud contingent of people like, oh, get ready for another boring title reign like Bobby Roode's. I'm like, Bobby Roode had one of the best NXT title reigns ever because all of his matches told really fucking good stories. Story matters in wrestling. It is more important than how many flips you can do in your suicide dive and how many moves you can hit in the 10 minutes you're given for your match. I'm not saying that shit doesn't have a place. I'm just saying I enjoyed this match where the guy who won used all of 6 moves but told the best fucking story. Like, better than any book I read in school.
Starred omelet. Yeah. It's a Michelin-starred omelet where it is just eggs, milk, salt and pepper, and a little butter. But goddamn, it's fantastic because it's been prepared by a world-class chef. I do have one thing. I really wanted to soak that finish in more. I felt like as soon as he hit it, it was done. I really wanted to let that wash over me. Like, oh my god, he actually hit it. He hit the move.
You think he went for the pin too soon?
Just a little bit. I wanted Tommaso to just acknowledge that he's out. But
yeah, yes, I could have seen them do a double down for a little bit. But I think they were going for the abruptness of the out of nowhere finish.
That's fair. That is certainly
which is like I'm not, both would have been both. I mean, it was fine the way it is, and I wouldn't have minded if they had let it sink in because it did happen quick. At first, I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" And I needed to see a couple of replays before, like, "Oh, he used the right hand."
Yeah. But nevertheless, this is one for the tape. This is one for the curriculum. Put it in the clinic.
Yes, this is going right up there. I don't remember what college it was, but there was one college that had for one semester a art of pro wrestling class, and the match they watched there was the Dude Love versus Stone Cold from Fully Loaded '98. This goes right up there with the other end of like storytelling and wrestling. This was perfect. I love this.
Really good.
16:59. The Gauntlet won 23-14. So that was the longest match of the night. Then we had the tag team triple threat for the championships. MSK, who I really like in the ring, but really dislike in interviews.
That's fair. Yeah, this was my other surprise because I kind of knew about Legado del Fantasma that was around when I kind of stepped back. I was like, they're new on scene, but MSK just had no idea. So these guys come out and they're looking like they're about to sell me like a winter mint gum with their color scheme, or like I don't know, some sort of like antidepressant pill that comes in like a multivitamin. That's what their color scheme looks like. And those like grizzled young veterans, like, oh, I know who that is. I know them.
I like them.
It was good.
This match was good. It's nice. It's been a while since we had like a real high profile tag team match on a takeover. It feels like the tag division's kind of been a little quiet recently, because they were tied up in the McAfee Undisputed Era feud for a while. But they had to vacate the titles, did Birch and Lorcan, because Danny Birch separated his shoulder. And that led to this match, and it was good. I like this. It was everything you want from a multi-man tag team match. Fast pace, lots of crazy spots and sequences and near finishes, and everyone played the role really well. It was basically MSK were the only baby faces, but the two heel groups did not get along at all. So it was a true like triangle affair where there wasn't an extended heat on one team for a long period of time. It also helped that it wasn't like the weird triple threat tag team rules where like two guys are in the ring but you can tag out to opponent teams. It was just it was a triple threat match where you could tag out, and I think that's the better way to do the format, because it allows you to take advantage of the multi-man aspect the whole time.
It had a very lovely spot, a very memorable spot for me was the submission, the MSK submission.
Yes, they did the speaking of the Revival, who we mentioned earlier, they did the fucking Takeover Toronto holding hands in the middle of the ring against DIY. That match, another match for the curriculum.
Yeah, funny how the guys from DIY are in a lot of these.
Yeah.
I will, of course, always venerate the fucking Andrade Almas versus Gargano match.
Yeah.
From
that was Takeover Philly. The same night with Aleister Black and Adam Cole's no DQ match where he took the bump on the chairs, which will haunt me forever. And they called back to that. And the unsanctioned match, I was like, no, remember what happened last time? You almost died.
Oh, that was quite a flashback match. I'm excited to talk about that one.
Yeah. As am I. So MSK ended up getting the wins here, which was somewhat of a surprise. I was kind of thinking that the grizzled young veterans would get the win here, or that they would. I also felt that maybe if they wanted to do a hold all the gold thing with Legado del Fantasma, they would have put the belts on them. I wasn't expecting the babyface to win, but I was pleasantly surprised, I guess, because it's been a while since we've had babyface tag champions. As much as I want to count the Undisputed Era as a babyface tag champ, they were technically heels.
Yeah. Oh, that's very true.
You would never know it if you listen to a live clip.
I know, but now they can just make whatever crowd they want. Yep. Side note, I do like the new arena, the dome. It does feel like an underground fighting ring a little more now.
I was a little disappointed that they couldn't get into an arena with a couple thousand people in there, but I do like the aesthetic of the Capitol Wrestling Center. It's a lot better than the Thunderdome, and They did. I think they let more people in than they had previously. There was, I think, a larger number of real fans in the building, but it still was pretty small in capacity, and it didn't have the same energy of a takeover crowd.
Yeah,
which
Takeover
is a
crowds
big part of the show for me personally. I mean, we've
are,
been in those crowds. It's a wonderful experience. We've hugged strangers before.
There's been beer thrown. It's been crazy. Like they are the true, like, of the crowd. They are the more bloodthirsty ones.
They're bloodthirsty, but everyone's there to have a good time and see some awesome wrestling. So everyone's super into every move. Like, there's not like a bunch of chit chat and a bunch of stupid. Well, there's stupid chants, but they're less limited than like a Full Sail crowd where everyone's trying to get themselves over.
Mm-hmm. Was it when Cesaro got into Raw that he had that beach ball moment?
Yes, where he ran in. Yeah, that was the Raw after, or maybe it was the SmackDown after Mania, back when they were doing SmackDowns live on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing the beach balls in the crowd, and he just had enough of it and ran out and fucking ripped it in half.
So, and I don't think I've seen that on NXT.
No, it's not a beach ball crowd because they're not.
They're watching
too much action. Yeah, we're watching the show. We're there to see action. They give it to us, and it's a wonderful experience. They main evented with the women's title match between Raquel Gonzalez and Io Shirai. This went a lot shorter than I expected it to go. Perhaps a lot shorter than it should have been.
I think so. I feel like it was kind of like,
it felt very rushed. And I don't know if that's a matter of Raquel maybe not being ready for a 20-minute takeover main event sort of spot. But she looked pretty good in War Games, although that is a multi-man match environment. Or they couldn't get USA to cave to give them extra time. I don't know what it was. The whole decision to simulcast on Peacock and USA, no one really knew how it was going to work. There were a lot of weird technical hiccups with the stream on Peacock. When they would cut to commercial on USA, the sound would cut out on the Peacock feed, and it was really kind of weird. But other than that, the Peacock stream seemed to be even a little bit nicer than the old network stream.
Yeah, they have their connectivity really, really up to snuff.
So
as for what happened in the match,
yeah, Io threw a lot at her, and I bought into. I expected Raquel to win coming into this. Okay. But they still got me. She hasn't had a ton of match. Like, her huge match with Rhea Ripley before she got called up was pretty good. Like, she's good. She's come a long way since the Mae Young Classic. And it was just time to, like, move on to Io as champion. Yeah. And they did that. It was a good match, but it felt like it never really hit that next level.
Yeah, that NXT, like, Zenkai boost. They didn't get sparking. But it certainly was high impact, I'd say.
Yeah, Io went fucking nuts, as she's wont to do. And she's one of the best wrestlers, regardless of gender, anywhere you'll find. So she was able to put on a good match, and Raquel, for her part, was fine. Dakota Kai, they ejected her early, so they didn't do any heel shenanigans. Raquel beat Io pretty clean, so they put her over strong.
Yeah, there was one spot where I felt like something happened, or like they messed with the footage. I don't know, where, like, when she went up on the skull, when Io went up on the skull.
Oh, the skull spot. How did I not talk about that? I don't know if they cut.
Because she was just like,
it was weird.
She
got up there fast. She did. I noticed that too. She was just like up on the skull. My theory is that they had cut stairs into it in the back to begin with, so she just kind of ran upstairs and didn't have to like climb anything. That's my working theory on how that worked. But that was pretty impressive. I don't think that skull was actually 20 feet in the air. As soon as Wade Barrett said that, I'm like, press X to doubt.
Yeah. Just take every stat in a wrestling match and decrease it by about 10%.
Yeah, maybe even a little more in this case, because that was maybe 10 feet off the ground.
It was not more than twice as tall as, like, you know, some of the regular male guys.
So yeah, night one was solid. Definitely match of the night was Walter and Ciampa. But everything else was at least good.
Yes.
But night two, we took it up a little bit on a notch there.
As it should be.
Again, there was a pre-show match here I didn't watch.
Yep. And then this one, so the next one after this, the first actual match on the show, or non-pre-show match, was actually kind of my low-key favorite.
This was good. It was not as good as I wanted it to be. I had very high expectations for this match.
Okay.
They were not quite met. I think my expectations were a little bit unreasonable, but they definitely evoked. They wanted to evoke Shawn and Razor at WrestleMania 10 because it's unifying.
We are talking, of course, about Escobar versus Devlin for the cruiserweight solve the dispute.
Yeah. So, if those of you who are somehow listening to this and not familiar, at WrestleMania 10, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon had a ladder match to decide who was the undisputed Intercontinental Champion. And in the lead up to this match, they had Shawn Michaels himself walk out and put a ladder between them. So that was definitely, they wanted you to be thinking along those lines. And I kind of expected something in that league. And while this was a really good match, I don't feel like it sits in the pantheon of great ladder matches like Shawn and Razor and TLC2 and Benoit and Jericho and RVD and Jeff Harvey and you know those really memorable ladder matches. But like I said, it was very good.
Still
Devlin has a giant fucking head.
He has a giant head, and I think that's a targeting computer because some of his moves were like pinpoint accuracy when there are ladders like to the left and right of you, and he's doing like moonsaults between them just to like, because a lot of whenever I see ladders come out, I'm like, don't fuck it up. If you fuck it up, you fuck yourself up.
Yeah.
We have problems. Those ladders were bouncing too. Those ladders they had chaotic energy in them.
I think they did spots off of some of the wood ladders, which I don't think they tend to avoid because they're not as stable. They're there to be put through. But I think they did a couple spots off them. Jordan Devlin did like one of the biggest moonsaults I've seen in a long ass time. Where I watched the replay. I'm like, did he even jump?
He was airborne somehow.
And when he stepped on top of the top run of the ladder, I'm like, oh, please be careful. That did not look stable at all. But I did like the story they were telling here. It was kind of weird because they're both heels. So this is heel versus heel, which is always kind of awkward. But they had Devlin kind of work babyface, and it didn't really fit the energy well. I don't think he's good at working from underneath so much.
Yeah.
But I really liked in the beginning portions of the match where Devlin was very cocky and he was just trying to go for all his moves, but Escobar was always a step ahead. My particular favorite was when he was going for the devil inside, and Escobar stole my move and delivered a beautiful high knee strike
Yeah.
out of it. That was one of my favorite matches. The giant moonsault. There were a couple Spanish flies in here. I don't particularly care for that move. At least off the ladder is fine, or like off the top rope, but like just in the middle of the ring, it's like
from standing.
So unbelievable that a guy is gonna like bend like that, you know?
Yeah. That's fair.
But yeah, how the fuck did Devlin like cut himself on the shoulder? Because I remember he did his big
I think
Spanish
he just
fly
hit a
off
ladder weird.
Off the ladder, and
it was either the ladder or the steel steps.
Yeah, but he had a like a line on his shoulder.
Yeah, just like right along the joint.
And it was bleeding, which kind of added to the match. I'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to the main event, where I definitely feel like if you could get away with bending the blood rule, that really would have been the place to do it. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. In the end, with very little help from Legado del Fantasma, because he sent them away when they interfered. They did interfere, but
that's right.
That was only for like a little bit, and he sent them back. Escobar won clean. He took forever to pull down the belts, like so long that I thought something was gonna happen. But I'm like, there's no. What the fuck is he gonna do? He just if he gets up after going through that ladder that, I would be very upset.
Of another ladder. Yeah.
But no, he just took his sweet ass time, and he's now your undisputed NXT Cruiserweight Champion. I wish they would do a little bit more of that division. Maybe they will now, because most of the main guys on NXT can compete in the Cruiserweight division. So, like, you can have it functionally as another mid-card belt.
Yeah, and they had that nice. Another side note: they had that nice new like mic with the CWC NXT.
Yeah,
combo logo.
I did like that the old school feel about this. This is definitely feels like an old studio show got beat with an Attitude Era stick in terms of set dressing. You can tell that Triple H is a fan of the old school 80s wrestling, as well as the era in which he enjoyed much of his success.
And we appreciate that about him.
We are also fans of those eras. Next up, we had Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart versus The Way for the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. I don't like that they're separate NXT Women's Tag Team Championship belts. I think the tag division on the main roster is so weak that it could really use the NXT pool of talent. And it makes the NXT belts feel less than, because we had to get them in there. And I wasn't moved by this match.
Yeah. So just as I'm still catching up on this, so The Way is now the new like heel stable, where it's Candice, Indy, Austin, and Johnny.
Yeah, I guess you didn't watch the last Takeover.
Yeah.
But the guy, do you remember the Scream Mask angle? The guy in the Scream Mask angle?
Maybe.
All right, so there were actually two people. One was revealed to be Indy Hartwell, and the other was revealed to be Austin Theory. And when he unmasked, he did "It's me, Austin."
It's me, Austin.
Which I was appreciative of. So yeah, they've been a stable for the past little while, and they have new music because they're The Way, because it was the Doing Things the Gargano way, and they just dropped that. So now they're the one-hit wonder Fastballs hit song.
The Way. Do you know it? Yeah, so like I said, this one just sort of.
Yeah, I mean, the finish was cool. The double eclipse into the whatever senton Shotzi Blackheart did.
But this was a 10-minute tag match.
Yeah, they
So
didn't give these gals a lot of time to really tell much of a story.
yeah,
And
this was coming off a 20-minute, like an 18-minute ladder match.
it was a tough match to follow, for sure. This was definitely a buffer match. I feel bad that these gals went out there. And it wasn't bad. Like, there's nothing wrong with this. It was a
No.
perfectly acceptable level of wrestling. It just was very unspectacular, and it was definitely a bit of a come down from where the night started. But still,
remember, kids,
match.
a piss break match on Takeover is still a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, this would be one of the better matches on a main roster pay-per-view, 9 times out of 10. But unfortunately, it was on a pretty well stacked card here on night 2.
Yeah.
Um,
So moving away from that, we have the payoff. Oh, you were waiting 2 nights for this one.
Yeah,
Johnny Gargano.
The other half of the way comes out.
Yeah. To fight Bronson Reed, who still hasn't woken up yet.
Yeah, he
was still a little low energy there. I knew this was going to be kind of an issue. Like we said, Johnny Gargano can make gold out of fucking anything. But I knew it wasn't going to be outstanding when Bronson Reed went for a press. Like, he pressed Johnny, and I see him up on 1 foot. I'm like, no, that's valuable materials. You need a strong base for that.
Yeah.
Put both feet on the ground, please.
Do not hurt Johnny Gargano.
Shades of Nia Jax.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a few. I don't even know if the top rope Rana was a botch or if that's how they planned it. It looked fucking weird.
It looked messy.
Johnny went up at one point for a top rope Rana. I'm not sure what the idea was, but I think he tried to give him the old Cesaro Ricola bomb, but he didn't hold him tight enough, and Johnny just kind of fell, and then he had to awkwardly get down off the second rope, pick him up, and hit a power bomb.
Yeah,
but
not a great show. But
Johnny bumped his ass off for the guy. I really took a little bit of issue with how little Bronson Reed sold Johnny's offense.
Yeah, just like I said, low energy. Like, he didn't want to bring the heat to this match. Like, so instead of like being like, oh, I just started clowning on Reed when I was sitting in my room watching this. When they pulled out the slaps, I just started like, oi, that's the ring general. It's Walter right there. With the slaps.
With the slaps. I'm going to put you in the ground with those slaps.
He's part of Imperium, don't you know?
One hit and I'm dead.
Yeah,
like this was still a pretty compelling match. There were a lot of near falls. I was kind of expecting Bronson Reed to win heading into this match, but about 5 minutes into this match, I was like, if Johnny loses the title here, this is going to be a fucking travesty.
Yeah, this is going to be like, you could tell the shape of Bronson Reed's title reign if he won this. Like, I don't want to. You have to think about that, and I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, I especially with Cross winning the NXT Championship later in the night. If we had Reed and Cross as champion at the same time, I don't know if I would have been able to handle that.
No, Johnny Takeover needs to stay because he has to lead. He has to lead the heel stable.
He has to lead the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument that you can take the belt off of Johnny, but not onto Reed. Not yet.
No.
He needs to
You know who would have been on to Isaiah Swerve Scott?
Yes, although he's also a heel, but
That's true.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It would have been a much better match. I was thinking that a lot watching this. I'm like, wow, this would have been a much better match with Swerve.
The fucking agility there. Oh, that would have been.
Yeah, that could have been a 5-star match. Honestly, could have been.
Mm-hmm. This one though didn't make it.
Yeah, it was
way.
good. Like Gargano doesn't have bad matches on Takeover,
no.
And this was not a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. You can just, it's one of the more obvious carry jobs I've seen in a pro wrestling match in a long time.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see what the future brings for Bronson Reed. If he can, if on his next push,
put it together a little bit more. I'm not sure what's missing though. Like, I guess the pace of his matches. Yeah. He needs to either stick with a more deliberate pace and do a lot more power spots, or be able to work longer matches at a quicker pace.
Yeah. Like, when I think of people he should be looking up to, he needs to be aiming for the likes of Keith Lee, for the likes of like Otis Dozovich.
Oh, that's I want to see them in a thick off. I just want to see who's thicker.
Thick off. Yeah. The Dozer versus Reed.
Yeah, well, he does not have the charisma to pull off Otis.
No.
Few do. I'm not necessarily insulting Reed.
Otis is a dynamo.
He is.
Just a powerhouse of energy.
He can draw you in with his $1 million smile and his "Yeah, Tucker!" But
yeah, Tucker.
They're not a team anymore for stupid reasons.
Yeah. Next,
we had Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. This match told a really nice story. Mm-hmm. This is the best Finn Balor has ever been. This title run has made me a fan of his. I never really saw it before. Like, he'd have some good matches in his first run, and he had some good matches on the main roster, but I never really saw the generational talent that everyone did. I often during his first NXT title reign, I found myself thinking, wow, his opponent looked a lot better than he did.
That's right, yeah.
But now he's put it all together. He's wrestling more like I guess he did in Japan, where everyone was, calling him the best thing since sliced bread. And this was without a doubt the best Karrion Kross match I've ever seen. It was not the best Finn Balor match I've ever seen, and was not the best match of Finn Balor's title reign. But it was a lot better than Kross versus Lee.
Yeah.
I don't know. Karrion Kross certainly has the look.
Right.
And some of his stuff looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He's missing the music between the notes.
Yeah. He's got a lot of bark. He's got some hits. Like you said, the connective tissue just isn't there. I haven't seen him in a while. Again, I made the joke to myself when he came in. I'm like, that's an awfully Roman garb you're wearing to go face to face with an Irishman.
Yeah, that was. I like that sort of tight design. Oh, yeah. I remember when Petey Williams used to wear those back in his Maple Leaf Muscle days.
Petey.
Scotty, fuck you, Petey.
He complained that his chicken breasts were too small, so he got him bigger ones. I haven't crashed my car.
Do you know how long it's been since I had an accident? I don't want to hear that. I want to hear you've never had an accident. I'm gonna go down this one-way road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Karrion Kross won it.
He did. I don't know how long they plan for him to be champion, but they did put the title back on him pretty quickly after he came back. So I assume that means they have plans for him. I hope they keep a steady line of really good workers to pair him with.
Yes.
Guys who can carry. Maybe you should have had Gargano drop the belt because he would have been a good guy for Kross to work with. Maybe it wasn't bad. He's not terrible. There are certainly worse workers in the world, but he doesn't have the same level of excitement. And if not for like the great story they told here, and maybe a lot of that's on Kross. Maybe Kross is going to have a lot of matches where he's going to have a Bobby Roode type title reign where the offense isn't all that impressive, but the character work and the stories of the matches are going to be really good. But I'm not super confident that that's going to be the case. And I'm a little worried about TakeOver main events right now for the next couple months.
That is an honest.
And is he a babyface or is he a heel? He was a heel before. I'm not like Finn. I think is a babyface, but he's kind of heelish. But he gets cheered. I'm not really sure what he's supposed to be. That happens a lot in NXT. I'm not really sure.
He's Finn. I feel like Finn's always been like in his recent reign. He's been Finn, where he's just like. He kind of reminds me of the janitor from fucking. Freddy's Funland, where he's just kind of doing his own thing. He just rolls into town. He's like, I'm gonna take the title belt. Finger guns. Yeah.
Well, he worked his ass off here, and he carried Kross to a pretty good match. But it was definitely a level below some of the matches Finn has had recently. But it was what it was, and it didn't main event, which was surprising at the time, but given how this match went, not surprising because you shouldn't have put anything on after this. They needed
to put this, this match needed to be front and center.
So this, like, no other match except for the Gauntlet went 20 minutes on the show either night. And the Gauntlet didn't even go 25 minutes. This match went 40 minutes.
It's a classic.
But it didn't really feel like 40 minutes.
Nope.
This felt like this is how you do an unsanctioned match. Take notes, kids. Like, these are two guys who did not like each other.
Yeah.
And when the bell rang, or I don't even remember if there was a bell. When they got to fighting, they didn't fucking go in there and exchanged holds. They went to beat the shit out of each other. And they beat the shit out of each other for 40 fucking minutes.
Yes,
this
sir.
was fucking brutal.
I want that picture of the dented chair framed from when. So for those who didn't, who were listening for the recap, what was it? Adam Cole's got the chair, and Kyle O'Reilly goes in for the punch. I think it was him. It wasn't the other way around, right?
Yes.
But he goes in for the punch anyways, and the chair goes up, and he just full force soup bowl right into the fucking side of the steel chair, and then you drop it, and there's a fucking dent there. And I want that framed as just my shorthand for when I was like, "Is wrestling fake? Is wrestling like?" I'm like, no. See this? See this? Someone actually punched they put a dent in the goddamn steel chair. on a match. But of course this was no regular ass match. They brought the chains back from War Games. This was the ultimate redemption for Kyle O'Reilly's chain fuckery.
Yes. It worked. It didn't work It was War Games all over again the first couple times because he wrapped it around his foot, and I'm watching him do it. I'm like, I don't think that's gonna work the way you want it to, Kyle.
He really, really wanted to make that happen.
And he got a few kicks in, and it fell off, and they're like, okay, let's not futz around with it for a little bit. But it came back in the finish in a major way.
And it did some other cool stuff with it.
Yeah, they both used the chain. Like, this was almost a chain match for the first 5 or 10 minutes of it.
But the beauty of it is you could do that, and then you could just do some other brutal shit for a while. You could send him through a pair of the inverted steel chairs.
Yes.
Thankfully, not on top of them.
As we mentioned before, Adam Cole called back to Takeover Philly, where he put the chairs with the points like this, making a nice little triangle. I'm like, don't do it, Adam. Don't do it. You barely survived the last time. But he didn't go through it like that. He and Kyle wrestled. He smacked Kyle into the chair and then gave him a fucking shining wizard that collapsed him through the other chair.
Yep.
And a heap.
It was lovely. They also did they finally got my mental note from years ago that says use the edge of the chair because the edge looks like a knife. It looks like a knife edge. Now they didn't chop anyone with the edge of the chair, but there was a spot where the edge of the chair was on Kyle O'Reilly's like neck. He was being like guillotined slowly.
Yeah, it was about to Pillmanize his neck, but he got out of it a little bit, and they really just beat the crap out of each other. And they told a great story, and the finish was beautiful. Adam's got Kyle up on the top rope, and he's berating him. He's like, "You weren't fucking nothing, if not for me. You goddamn piece of shit! I'm about to put you out of your goddamn misery." And Kyle low blows him.
Yeah.
And fucking pushes him down, wraps the chain around his leg, and delivers a diving knee strike into Adam Cole's head through a chair. And fucking Adam Cole's leg is twitching like he just got shot with a fucking gun.
Seizure. Yeah. It was a great culmination of the match because in this match, some of the more notable spots where they tried to break the table, that didn't quite happen, but they made up for it with the most surprising TV shot that they've ever seen because the announcers like, oh shit, like the announcers didn't even like realize that was happening. Yeah. But that was a brutal one where he just decks him in the face with a flat screen, and then they go through the entrance ramp.
Yeah,
which was fun. And Adam Cole comes out with his fucking red gauntlet, basically. Yeah. He's just dripping out there. And Adam Cole, prior to it, low blowed Kyle O'Reilly.
Yes.
With the great zoom in as he's got his hand right under there.
I love that when they just hold it super triumphantly.
But yeah, so they were working up the chain with like clotheslines and again this wrapping to like armor your leg. And it was a battle
and around your fist a couple times.
Yep, the knees were consistently shown as like, they both took off their knee pads to deliver more punishing last shots. And
oh yeah, Kyle hit the last shot at one point in this match too. That was
he's like, I got revenge. After he like collapsed and made Adam Cole miss his. And so it all sort of came together in the end with that chain armor diving knee strike.
Yeah, everything that they like this match, as sad as I am to see the Undisputed Era go, like what a send off in this match.
Mm-hmm.
Like
now, yeah. Would you say that this could join up in the ranks of the Gargano Ciampa feud?
If they have more matches, yeah. I mean, this is already, I think, better than all but the Takeover New Orleans match from Ciampa and Gargano's feud.
That's fair. Yeah, I think this is the opportunity to have the feud that they could never have because of
their
life getting in the way.
Yeah, life and
Just
their allegiance to each
awful
other.
chants. Yeah. I feel like we got the finish, but we never got the true rubber match.
We never got the payoff because unfortunately Ciampa had to have neck surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And that was going to be the main event of Takeover New York, the one we went to with Jake.
Yep.
But the substitute was pretty good. I would say Adam Cole versus Gargano. Maybe the best wrestling match I've ever seen. Definitely the best one I've ever seen live.
Yeah. I really can't believe that the Undisputed Era and Johnny and like Undisputed Era and DIY just kind of looked at each other like, you want to switch? You want to switch places? Yeah, I'll Freaky Friday with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is great because those are two perfect, really strong things that NXT like it's like a pillar of NXT is having the 4-person like fucking heel stable and a rivalry, like a strong feud.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that this is going to lead to another match. I know there's an old school mentality that people are like. I mean, it's not even like a wrong mentality. When I say old school mentality, it seems like it's behind the times. But you started with the unsanctioned match. Where do you go from there? It's a valid question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I don't want this to be one and done. Like, it's too personal to be one and done, you know? Like, I mean, you can wrap up the story because it's catharsis for Kyle and all that, but selfishly, I want another match between these two.
Well, what you can do is you can have Petty Adam Cole start chasing down Kyle through, proxies or whatever, or have Kyle trying to like move on with his life. He's like proved himself that he doesn't have to be what Adam Cole thinks he is. Adam Cole's trying to like take him back and corrupt the children.
All I can say is that I hope for the sake of everyone involved, like Kyle and Adam are going to be okay as singles. Like Kyle O'Reilly, he's not the best promo, but he's been a main event guy in other promotions. Adam Cole is, the superstar of the group, but you got to keep Bobby and Roddy together.
Yeah. Yep.
Because Roddy, he needs a guy who can talk for him, and Bobby is super loud.
They're great for each other. Like because Bobby's already had all that experience beforehand on the tag teams, and I think back to I remember Roderick before Undisputed Era, and he was mediocre.
He had that great match with Bobby Roode where they told his backstory about how he was like near homeless or living out of a trailer. I don't remember what the situation was, but he found himself through wrestling, and they had a great emotional match where he really wanted to win. And then he just kind of mired in mid-card obscurity for a while, and then he joined the Undisputed Era after a protracted will he, won't he storyline, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
When he filled in for Bobby Fish when he was hurt, like that was some of the best Undisputed Era tag matches. No offense to Kyle and Bobby, but Roddy's a little bit better in the ring than Bobby is.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some
now
classics.
They get to do tags together.
Yeah, they should. Like, I wouldn't completely dissolve them. Like, just keep some remnant of it in there. Maybe let them keep the theme. I miss the theme.
Yeah, let them be the Undisputed Era, and Adam Cole can do his thing, and Kyle O'Reilly can do his thing.
Yeah, they need to.
Adam Cole can come in with music that doesn't fit his entrance stuff anymore.
I think there was the boom, but he missed it. I think I remember hearing it, but he was like on the entranceway still, so he kind of missed the cue. But I don't really love either of their new music.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to top all the classic moments I associate with the Undisputed Era theme. Like they always get hyped by that because
Yeah.
brings back memories of the takeovers we've gone to and just all the awesome matches that
That's one
they've
that
responsible.
what is it? It's going to be 2050, right? Or 2040, and it's going to be Takeover. It's going to be WrestleMania like 68 or whatever. I can't count.
Yeah, and
They'll
they'll have
just
been out of the company for a while, and you'll shock the system, and everyone's gonna go nuts, and it's like, oh, this is the WWE Hall of Famers, the Undisputed Era. They're back here to save like their old like Johnny Gargano's wrestling in his retirement match.
Gargano's grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whoever the fuck else.
Yeah.
Wrestling will go on forever. It'll never stop.
I mean, they're up there with they're one of the greatest stables of all time. They're right up there for me with actually I think I might even put them ahead of the Shield because they had a longer run and a higher volume of classic matches. They haven't yet gone on to be as big a star as the people in the Shield, but there's time for that to happen. But as a group, a lot of great memories there.
And now they're on Tuesdays because I guess where's SmackDown went to Fox?
Yeah, SmackDown's on Fox, and that's on Friday. So
they finally decided, yeah, we'll compete with ourselves. It's fine. It's fine as long as we don't have to compete against AEW.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're scared of AEW. AEW is kind of in trouble. Their viewership numbers have been going down very steadily ever since they put the title on Omega.
Ooh, okay. Because
I don't
I haven't been
necessarily
watching that
think
either.
it's his.
And I remember there was a pay-per-view or an event that they had a really crazy last match with like John Moxley or something. There was like bombs going off or some shit.
Yeah, they had a fucking like exploding barbed wire death match or something like that. Exploding C4 barbed wire, something like that. And it was supposed to be a big bomb that goes off at the end, but like it was a botch and like just some sparklers went off or some shit like that. It was kind of embarrassing, and they've become what we feared they would be, and like now the main event's just elite drama.
In the span of like a fucking year.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's I don't think it's any coincidence that after you pushed Hangman down the card and took the belt off of Moxley, the ratings have gone down. It's almost as if they're your real draws. And no one gives a shit about New Japan storylines from nearly a decade ago.
Yeah. And
but yeah, they're going to Tuesdays largely because NBC Sports is shutting down, and they don't want to have them preempted by the NHL all the time.
Gotcha. Okay. But Tuesday is the day.
Yep.
For how long has NXT been on Wednesdays?
I think since they did weekly television, so going back 2014.
That is quite a long time, and a long legacy
even?
A long legacy of NXT. Changed in in a small way, but we will remember you.
Yeah. So that was Stand and Deliver, an excellent show. Night 2 is definitely the night to watch. If you had to pick one, but you don't, so watch them both. It's good matches on both nights. And we'll be back later today.
Yep.
We're going to do on a Twitch channel, Twitch TV /SaturnStuds. We'll be doing a WrestleMania watch-along stream. And we'll do that for both nights. And we'll maybe do a video game stream before Mania tomorrow. But probably not something today because we need a little bit of rest before we
take a breather. I'm not doing a fucking 24-hour stream on a random ass weekend in April.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of sleep during the week. I need it during the weekend.
I need to go to the gas station and get fucking Dippin' Dots, all right? Have a life out of it. And it's gonna rain tomorrow, so I mean you can't do that.
I can't bring Dippin' Dots into the rain. That's just insane.
It's It's also the only sunshine I'm gonna fucking get this week, so
Yeah.
I need to take a walk outside.
Can't be cave for me. Yeah, I'm gonna go outside and smoke some weed.
Word.
All right, we'll see you guys at 7:30 or 8, whenever we decide if we want to start a little earlier, probably, so we can get everything
pre-show,
synchronized.
Yes.
Because that's going to be important, and there will be growing pains because we've never done one of these remote before, but we'll figure it out, and we'll see you then.
See you then.